Hi, my name is Inez Simpson, and this is one of the series of videos and audios about the holistic therapy process called the Simpson Protocol. I'm talking to the people who have experience with Simpson Protocol and what they think of the process and the results they have found. I think, as you will see through this series, the process is quite profound and, as I say, holistic. And as you will hear, creates amazing outcomes. So if you are the person who desires positive change in themselves and those they come in contact with, I believe you'll find this interesting. Okay. Hi, Lance.
Hi,
Nice to
Inez. How are
see you. Today, this is Lance. We're talking to Lance Baker, who, among many other things, is an SP trainer for Australia. So I want Lance to give you some background on.
you? So um, I am a hypnotherapist, holistic counselor, and Reiki master. I am extremely passionate about the energetic side of hypnosis, which is not exactly SP, but SP has some links to energy and spirit. But it's the energetic processes that I get really passionate about, and it's completely non-verbal. It's the old precursors to hypnosis, mesmerism, and things like Reiki and things like that as well blend in well with hypnosis, and some of it blends well with SP. I do a lot of normal open talk therapy as well, with counseling based processes if I need before or after a hypnotic interaction. Sometimes we use counseling completely on its own, but more often than not, because hypnosis is so powerful and the counseling and psychology world evolved out of hypnosis, then it's pretty obvious. I am the hypnotherapist, so I use hypnotherapy as often as I can because it gets deeper to the core of the issue. And with hypnotherapy, my key processes is communication with consciousness. It's got to be two-way, which the SP component of work that I do definitely fits that two-way communication. So it ties well with some of the other processes I do in that regard.
So, do you remember when you saw SP first? What was your first thought?
My first thought was a video. I think it was a really old video of you at a convention somewhere doing a demo.
Yeah.
The sound wasn't great because they were like recording from the back of the room. So I wasn't catching everything,
Yeah.
but it was after Bob had invited me to, asked me to like bring you out to Australia to teach a class because you needed, you were coming to Melbourne and you wanted to come to Sydney as well. And I was like, well, I better check a workout. I remember watching that thinking, that looks complicated. I'm not sure how well I'm going to go with this. It feels a little bit different to what I was doing back then. And I thought, well, I definitely need to go to the class to learn how to do this. And after that, the next one I seen was live, and then it seemed much easier. I think a lot of my
Yeah, I don't really want to teach it in a, a demo somewhere.
yes, exactly. It was too hard to get in just watching a demo to see what worked. Whereas when the framing had been done and some explanations before you did a demonstration, it made a little bit more sense. But then when I was in the chair and you did a session on me, I could feel the simplicity of it a little bit more. But I think it took going through it again a little bit later to realize actually how easy it was. It wasn't until I started reading through the material and experimenting with it that I realized I was making it way more complicated than I needed to.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was taught this with a script. I need to follow a script. Oh, no,
No.
that's right. And they said, don't.
Do it. I teach everybody the script before they start, and then I try to break them up using a script.
Yes.
So, what type of person or profession benefits the most by learning SP? That's in your opinion.
Oh, that's a tricky question, Ez. I would say more than half the people that have come to my classes have not been hypnotherapists to begin with. But the theme I have noticed is they are, for what come through classes I've taught, most of the people have been spiritual. And SP does differ to a lot of other hypnotic arts in that it's spiritual up front of a lot of the processes. And when you're dealing with soul level things, it's pretty hard not to be spiritual. It's not just the just mundane life sort of problems. It's the overarching soul issues that we carry, and so it seems to grab people with that. So I've had yoga teachers. I've had quite a few yoga teachers learn, and at first I thought it was only going to be something they did separate to yoga, and I've had a few of them experiment with it within yoga sessions that it works quite well in.
I've had someone who did that too, and we put them in different, when they went in, they could put themselves in the yoga place. And the feelings, the sensing, the knowing, the everything.
Yes, yeah.
It was cool.
And I've had some counselors as well, and it's very different to counseling. But there were counselors who wanted to have a deeper spiritual practice within their counseling.
Yeah.
And there's a few hypnotherapists I've taught that once they've learnt this, they've put aside a lot of the other things that they were learning. And I've just gone with
there's
this.
Quite a few who do, but what they have to get it first. They all have to get it that it can be used for anything and all those things. I mean, in hypnosis, we use different techniques for different things. And in SP, we don't use different things for everything, but we can cope with everything. So now I call the process holistic. It's not spiritual, but the spiritual one shows up because it's nowhere else. Right? So here, holistic, I call it inclusive. It has body, mind, spirit, and soul. Now, we never leave one out because everybody has that, even though they don't want to check it out. So what do you think of that as being inclusive?
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you're following all of the categories of the subjects of what would be in the script of SP, you're definitely ticking all three of those boxes quite a few times. In the process.
All four. There's four. Yes. Body, mind, spirit, and soul. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd find it difficult to do the process and not cover at least two or three of those. They generally are always going to include all of them, but I can see sometimes you could get single-minded. But even if you're completely focusing like on a physical, tangible body experience, it doesn't take much to check the other categories if they link with it. And my experience shows that more often than not, something that seems like it's just in one of the categories is actually in a few different areas of a crossover. The threshold of an issue is not just where it shows.
So just like I'll just remind the way Steen does it. He had a doctor come to him, and she was very science-based. So she wasn't very thrilled with those questions.
Yep.
So he started doing them telepathically. And she said, she came out of that and she said, that's why I like SP so much. It's so scientific. He just asked her all the spiritual ones, and she answered them with telepathic. So he figured he covered her really well. In fact, she did awesome.
Fantastic.
That's kind of a way I would do that, going around that.
Yeah.
But because there's some people who are saying they won't answer those. Well, I'm not asking you to answer them. They're super conscious questions. Oh, but isn't that me? And it is, but it's higher you. It's more than that. In fact, I don't want to ever tell you exactly what superconscious is.
Yeah.
Because we minimize it. Because they just open to possibility. They can attain the very most beneficial thing that they can do. Because as long as they say, no, I don't want that. No, I don't know. If they're open to everything, they can get a great outcome.
Yes. And if you're doing the process and hypnosis correctly anyway, the responses, it's not I won't answer that because it happens. Like, an idiomotor response happens whether you like it or not. The answer comes. The nervous system moves.
Yeah.
So that can be part of that process as well as.
And it does freak people out a little bit at the beginning when it starts, and then they are just in they're knowing that their inside is doing it, that their outside is doing it, that every part of them is there. So it's the best thing ever.
Yes. Yeah. The process should just be that the conscious mind is an observer if it's interacting.
Yeah. And we know that's not entirely possible,
yes.
But we can fix that. What issues can SB be used for that you have found in your practice?
It could be used for pretty much any sort of issue. Sometimes I do find I need to use some other tools as well for some issues, but that's to get the full maximum benefit out of it. But if somebody's got a subconscious issue, it should work with any of them.
Right.
So
yeah,
pretty much anything.
Yeah. So what aspect of SP do you find most appealing for your practice?
When the person's subconscious mind is too overwhelmed to be able to handle dealing with the issue, we're bypassing that as well. Like you said before, we're dealing with superconscious mind. You're connecting to a higher aspect of consciousness, so it's not as stuck in the problem. Where sometimes, if you're just speaking to a part of somebody's subconscious, or their subconscious in total, it sometimes can be like stuck and not able to move forward, and you've got to do a lot of sessions to get somewhere, anywhere, occasionally. And with that ability to connect to something higher, quite often that shifts that same thing quite quickly, quite easier.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to maneuver around other pitfalls within hypnosis.
Yeah. I think I work, with someone a second or third time. I might even just have superconscious do the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I find it clear. So we get in an hour, we can get a hell of a lot done. And if we don't, then I say, I always ask superconscious, which way to go. And they lead me the right way. So that's it. Now, can you tell me some interesting sessions you've had with SP?
Some interesting sessions.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I had some sessions with somebody, and I'd also taught them SP and self-hypnosis, and they had daily practice with it, so it definitely wasn't just from my sessions. And I'd also taught them Reiki and self-Reiki and different practices to do. So I know she threw a lot at it other than my sessions, but we cleared cancer. So that was quite a profound thing, that within a couple of months cancer disappeared completely, and has been gone completely since.
Yeah.
Hasn't come back or anything like that. So that was amazing.
Yeah, we've had quite a big success with that, different people. Yeah.
Yes, but that's the session itself was not super interesting. Some of those sessions were actually just quite boring, of going through the motions of asking questions to lead towards healing. But that was the most interesting results I've had from SP. The most interesting sessions I've had would probably be the spooky ones, where I've cleared and dealt with spirit interaction based things as well. And
we sometimes have that.
We do. With hypnosis, you do. It's hypnosis and spirit interaction have been paired together for quite a long time, and so that spooky occasionally does happen. I know in my resource library for my SP students, there's probably at least a half a dozen different spooky spirit interaction bits that happen in there, and some that are just plain standard old sessions.
Yeah. Well, I've done some strange interactions with the guides of the person taking it.
Yes, I have some people I've worked with that their spirit guides are nicer to me than they are to them, because they're doing work with them, and they've got their mission they signed up for, and they've got to be hard to achieve that mission. And I'm the one that's making their mission easier. So
So I think that's pretty well everything, unless you can think of anything that you want to say.
No, if somebody's curious and they've watched this and they're still not sure about something, my recommendation would be to experience it. If you're tossing up whether something is right or wrong for you, is to put yourself in that open position to try the ride out. And book in with somebody like yourself, me, one of the other trainers or practitioners around the world, and experience an SP session and feel the benefits and enjoy the experience.
Right. And We can always, you can always take self-hypnosis if that's a little bit too much to start with, learning SP, but they'll teach you how to get there by yourself and do some work.
Yes, yeah, self-hypnosis can be a great way to get there. And I do remember that that first session I had with you, and part of the way through the process, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. This Some of this feels the same as other things I've done, some of it doesn't. And my critical
Yeah,
judgment
too much
was
of
in the
it. Yeah,
way, and then I had an experience that was a soul level sort of thing that I couldn't explain. You did something uh, about going to the Akashic records, and my consciousness sheepishly pulled like a book out of my rib cage and put it back in the library. My conscious mind was like, well, I want to read that first. I was in that. And, and afterwards, I was like, well, that was very different to what I'd normally had of things, and it wasn't anything of what I expected. It wasn't anything of what you could have led. It was just is there anything to do here?
yeah. And I think our clients will be better than we are
Yes, yes, I'm a terrible subject.
because you're always checking out if there's something that you can learn from this,
Yes, yes.
you know, and we don't have that trouble
Hmm.
with other people. But I know what you mean. So for you, it'd probably be better a third session or something. By then, you know already that it's going to do something and you can relax.
Yes, yes. Well, that was the first session helped me to relax into it, that it was something different to what I'd already been learning, and helped reframe some of the context of other things I'd learned. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you, Lance.
Thank you. And if anybody watching this has any questions, I'm available. You can reach out and hit me up, and
Yeah.
hopefully I'll have an answer for you. And if I don't, I'll send you to an S.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.